supposed to be an island there. Oh, you might be able to just see it there. It's like 3 miles away. So there we are, the second leg from the Azores to Europe. We had a week-long pit stop so that we could repair the rudder problem. So we have a new rudder case in the boat now, and we have borrowed a rudder blade from another Gunboat 68. So that was flown in and that arrived last night. So that's all good. So we are all back in one piece and in full sailing condition. Unfortunately, the forecast is looking quite light, so this little bit of breeze that we currently have disappears, and there'll be a couple of days with a donkey on. Yeah, once we get into Gib, then we are dealing with Mediterranean weather. Lots of wind, no wind. Lots of wind, no wind. So we'll see how we go when we get there in a few days' time. Well, what a difference 24 hours and 300 nautical miles makes. We've gone from pretty cold and bleak and grey and not so nice departure of the Azores to quite pleasant, sunny, almost warm, middle of the Atlantic sailing. Slipping along in the middle of the high, so the weather's all nice and stable. We've got sort of 8 to 12 knots of breeze, and we're slipping along at a 7 to 8 knots of boat speed, gently covering the miles. Had a few casualties on the boat last night. We ended up with 4 squid and a jellyfish on the trampoline. So that wasn't so great for those poor little buggers. I'm sure you still got, might be able to see it, jellyfish tentacles still stuck to the bow. The latest weather forecast is going from this and a possible bit of motoring to 30 odd knots on the nose through the Straits of Gibraltar, which is not so inviting, but we'll look and see how that goes when we get a little bit closer. We'll work out some tactics how to get through that with the least amount of pain. But, yeah, see how the next 24 hours goes and what comes along. So we've been motoring since about 4 o'clock this morning. 4 o'clock this morning I put the sails back out. Maybe it was 6 o'clock this morning. Lots of low cloud. Yeah, it was rather cold. And now this morning, well, it's actually lunchtime, there's a massive pod of dolphins just off our bow. That's super cool. There's quite a lot of sea life and traffic on this trip. Certainly this bit from the Azores to Portugal. Yeah, we're just having a look at the weather, and looks like we've got to deal with 50 knots going through the Straits of Gibraltar. So if that's the case, we're not actually going to do that. We're going to run and hide. Day 4, and we're in the Portuguese trades. The sky has cleared and the boat's falling apart. Just had the J2 lock bullet actually break. So the actual cast stainless steel high resistance super duper fan wangle thing just broke, so we no longer have a J2. Well, we have a J2, we just can't have it in the sky anymore. Now we're on J3. Actually seem to be faster than J2, you know, going small sails and sending it. All fun. dodging boats. How many targets have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Nearly 20 targets. Oh. Frogger on the high seas. Not wet outside. Some off watch after the excitement that was J2's falling down in bits and pieces and the brig's coming up a little bit. And now it's time to sleep in my cozy little bunk. I got the crew berth locked out a little there, and yeah, the joys of bouncing around the ocean with a little bit of pace, and yeah, it's lots of fun. Well, what a difference 4.5 hours makes. So morning of day 5, and breeze has settled right down. We're now just on the southern side of the Portuguese coast. Yeah, last night / early morning, well, that was full on. It was good 6 hours of death reaching and 28, 29 knots. Boat speeds were averaging 14s. Had a few bursts there, touching on 25 at 2 o'clock in the morning. Probably not the best time of day to be touching 25s, but you know, that's what we had. Yeah, it's nice to be a little bit settled. People can get some sleep now. Wasn't much sleeping going on. You'd be lying in your bed, but definitely not much sleeping going on. We're heading towards the southern eastern corner of this bay here. We're not going to attempt Gibraltar at the moment because it's a baseline breeze of 30 knots and gusts into sort of that 40 knot mark, some puffs up into 50s, so we're not going to attempt that right now. We're going to just wait our time a little bit and wait for it to drop somewhere around the 25-30 mark, which is sort of doable. It's going to be very uncomfortable, but it's doable. Yeah, joys of the boating life. More delays, more delays, more delays. Didn't break too much more, which was good. We have a big freshwater leak somewhere, We kept filling the starboard hull and had bilge alarms going off all night, so that was fun. What else happened? Oh, the usual electrical gremlins. Hopefully we can manage our way through those, but it's all good.
Boats everywhere. Look at the ball. Boat, 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 boat.
Yeah, enough wind. Little J3 and a reef in the main. So, a solo sailor AIS target came up. It was 15 meters by 15 meters, and he happened to be on a crash course with us, so that was pretty cool. 15 meters by 15 meters equals multi 50. So he was doing 8 knots. And then I guess he changed course a little and changed sails a bit, and now he's doing 16 knots. So he lit it up, I'm guessing, to come and say hello. We are going from, where are we going from? Huelva, just north of Cadiz in Spain, to Toulon. We've had to pull into Huelva for a couple of days to let the 45-50 knots pass through the Straits of Gibraltar. But we're here now, coming past Barbete. Oh, there you go, that's a puff. It's past Barbete towards Tarifa, back into the breeze, and we're sort of supposed to be seeing 25s, but it's a little more than that. Yeah, it's all a little bit wet and windy and not too bumpy, thankfully, because the breeze is blowing offshore at the moment. We're actually running straight through the middle of Orca Alley, so this is where all the orca attacks happen. But we've got boat speeds of 11-12 knots, and we're moving around a fair bit, so we are running the program that we're fairly low risk at the moment. There is a bunch of other slower yachts and lagoons around, so we thought they'll be tastier bait than we are. Yeah. 36, oh, nearly 37, 46 of apparent wind speed. It's a bit wet and soggy. Well, that was a little bit damp. Wet. Right, so we're in Reef 3 now, because we're sitting in between 30 and 35s. Yeah, so Reef 3, kept everything under control. Looking good. Yep, still windy. Not so many sails up, and going around Punta Maroc, which is on the end here in Tarifa. Go outside, see if we can see one of the pillars of Hercules. And there's it. Oh yeah, it's windy out here. There you go. Pillar of Hercules. Got the train ticket up still. There you go, there's the lighthouse. Punta Maroc and the Straits of Gibraltar. True wind speed 12 nudos and boat speed 9 nudos. Yeah, it's a little bit slow, but we only have a J3, we no longer have a J2 due to a lock breakage. We do have full main though. Yeah, we're plodding along nicely. So we're about an hour out of Alicante. Go and get some diesel, and then we'll keep chugging along through the Mediterranean all the way to Toulon in France. So we just left Denia, the point near Denia behind. Here's Ibiza here, and this is the strait that we're bombing across at 9-10 knots at the moment. You just see the glow of Ibiza at the starboard side and the glow of mainland Spain behind us. 9 knots of wind, and we're bombing across the Mediterranean at 9.5, nearly 10. This is where this boat is absolutely amazing. It looks cool while we're sailing around in 30 plus and there's white water everywhere, but when you're trying to cover miles and there's stuff all wind, this thing is just a freaking machine. Had a little bit of wind last night. We were sort of able to trundle along at 10 knots, and this is pretty much the forecast for the next 24 hours till we get to Barcelona. And then once we get to Barcelona, we might have a little bit of breeze to do something to go across the Gulf of Leon. Day 5, last day. We have just come to...
Almost there!
We're almost there! We can see the hills, we can see the bay. Toulon is finally in our sights. But of course this morning we had to do a lot of zigging and zagging and wiggling and wobbling around on the ocean to miss the French blowing shit up. They were doing live target practice, and actually just in the mouth of the harbour here they're blowing up mines. It's so funny. Last time we were here we were watching them blow up stuff as well. Very, very French. Let's go have a look. Here it is, Toulon.